Well, happy Monday, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to CHLY 101.7 FM. I am Kathy, host and your host for Act 3. I'm so delighted to be with you today in the Zoom booth. And I do have with me some very special guests. Callie Guild and Amanda Cutting are with us from Act 3, or not Act 3. See, I almost did that. They are at theater and I'm Act 3. How cute is that? Amanda and Callie, welcome to the program. Thanks for being here. How are you both?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fabulous, fabulous. Is this your first time on the radio, Callie?
It is.
Well, welcome to the program. We'll promise to treat you extra special. Amanda, can you tell us a little bit about Act Theater as we get started?
Yeah, ACT Theater is a non-for-profit theater organization. Our mandate is to provide mentorship and to provide opportunities for emerging actors to work in a professional context with professional performers and directors.
Wow, how exciting is that? I got my start in theater back when I want to say maybe 10 or 11 years old. And regardless of what we do when we're young people and then we move forward in our life, the skills that I learned in on stage, the skills that I learned with people have stayed with me my entire life in so many different capacities. So I'm so excited to see Callie as part of our conversation today because you look like you're about the age that I was. Maybe you're a little older than what I was, but you look, like this is the beginning of a career for you, hey?
Yeah,
How long have you been doing it?
I've been doing it since I've been 5.
Oh,
I
really young.
yeah,
So what did you start with when you were 5?
I started with Headliners. It was a production group, and we just did a ton of junior plays until I finally moved into one of their teen plays, Guys and Dolls.
Oh my God, that was one of the first plays I did was Guys and Dolls as well. What a great way to start. Oh my goodness. How long were you in that production? How long did they show it?
Um, I think a few months. Oh, sorry, that's how long we took. We actually did it for 2 performances.
Oh, that's fantastic. But people don't always understand how long it actually takes to put a
Mhm.
production on, right? Amanda, there's a lot of work that goes in front and behind the scenes. Tell us a little bit about your experience in putting this all together and what you're planning on presenting in our community in the coming days.
Yeah, absolutely. So ACT Theater's been around for almost 12 years now. We originally started in Alberta, and then when we moved out here, we were like, is there space for another theater group out in Nanaimo? And it was a resounding yes, predominantly because there wasn't a theater company that kind of helped bridge those gaps between community theater and supporting emerging artists into a more of a professional context. And we have done with another theater company that was in Alberta, we created a festival out there that is very similar to this, that created mentorship within the community. It's in its 8th year now out there. And it was a huge success, and it still is a huge success. It's become like an institution of the community. People look forward to it. And so when speaking with the community here, when we came in, a lot of people said what was lacking was some summer theater that could involve youth and provided outside entertainment, because it's so gorgeous here. No one wants to go inside for entertainment in the summer. We want to just soak in all the sun rays and the beautiful environment. So we took the template that we had used out in Alberta and recreated it and adapted it for the local community here. And reached out to a bunch of people who were all so enthusiastic to join on crew and help assist in planning. Normally this takes like an 8-month planning, but because we're new in the area, we only had 4 months to kind of pull
Oh my.
everything together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, as
so
they say, the show must go on 4 months, 8 months, however much prep time you've got to roll with it for sure.
yeah, and we have a great crew. Like we have about 15 crew members, and a production producer, Shauna Enns, and then we have 20 cast members. So it's a very large ensemble, but we wanted to make sure that we were really providing opportunity for people who expressed interest. And doing auditions here, we were absolutely shocked at the amount of talent that this city holds, both in Nanaimo and surrounding Parksville and Lansville, and Ladysmith. And we have cast who are from Nanaimo and Parksville who are a part of this, and just outside of Nanaimo, in Cedar area. And it's been a wonderful experience, a little hairy pulling it all together on a short timeline. But the city's been incredibly supportive, and they've like moved mountains to help support us in what we need for information and getting things organized. And yeah, we're really excited for it. And the cast has been working hard. We did auditions in April and started rehearsing in April. It was like when we got the yes, go ahead from the city, it was quickly plan auditions, plan the shows, get the crew together, and then do auditions. And everybody's been really like gracious and patient with us, as they know that we've had, half the amount of time to plan things.
Absolutely.
Have been happy to join on our wild ride.
But there's something wonderful about doing it quickly and that turnaround. There's a freshness to it. And it may not necessarily have the same polish if you'd had more time. But frankly, I've yet to see how something that is starting in less time and gets to stage. You're talking about actors who are really working at their craft. And, there's so many moving pieces and they want to put on the best possible show. So time is not necessarily the element when it comes to creating something rather wonderful. Speaking of wonderful, I think the play is called Wonderland. Is that right?
Alice's Wonderland, yeah, the one that
Oh,
Callie did. So we are doing 2 shows in repertory,
okay.
which means that nearly all the cast are in both shows. So they're not rehearsing one play, they're
They're
rehearsing,
rehearsing two.
yeah, one that's almost, well, I call it a play with music, but everybody's saying it's a musical. I'm maybe being a little bit more modest in that area, which is Alice's Wonderland. So I adapted that from Lewis Carroll's book.
Oh,
And it has a feel of the Disney magic in it,
yeah.
but it does stay more true to the novel. And I've woven in a little bit more empowerment themes for Alice, because there's some themes in the book that are a little bit dated for our contemporary
Indeed.
time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then our other show is Much Ado About Nothing, which we've set in 1940s Nanaimo. And it's a ruckus show full of fun and humor, and 12 songs in it that we've incorporated from the 40s with our own live singer, who is, well, I mean, it's a 1940s crooner, but a crooner in the 40s would be, who's female, is a chanteuse. So she's
Wow.
singing kind of like in Robin Hood, the Disney movie. You've got the rooster who's kind of like the narrator. She's our vocal narrator for Much Ado.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Now, Much Ado is based on a Shakespearean play. It is of
Yeah.
Shakespeare. How did you shift that narrative? Is
Um,
it contemporary 1940s, or have you maintained some of the traditional Shakespearean verbiage?
Oh yeah, great question. It is all Shakespearean language. We have made a few adaptations. So the play originally takes place in Italy, and we've changed all the
Yes.
locations to Nanaimo, Parksville area. Um,
Right.
we've woven in little gems here and there that are references to the time period in Nanaimo. We've been really lucky. The military museum has provided period authentic military wear for our men in the show, which is really neat.
Oh,
They
that's
were,
incredible.
yeah, they were really excited. And we've been working with the archives and a lot of other locals and doing a lot of research about what Nanaimo was like at that time period. There's a little like theatrical flair that's obviously in there, but we wanted to set it in a local place. And the beautiful thing about Much Ado is that the storyline can be adapted to many different
Totally.
eras, but it really is suited for like, on the edge of feminism, when it's really coming into its contemporary context. And so looking at it in the 40s, 50s, is really a great time period for it. So we have beautiful costumes that have been done up in that time period. and our set has images from Nanaimo and Parksville, and Qualicum Beach, all in the 40s. It's a part of it.
Wow.
Really quite
Oh my
fun.
gosh, it sounds so fabulous. I can't wait to see both plays, of course, but definitely Much Ado About Nothing is a favorite. And so I look forward to seeing how you've adapted it. I know our audience will enjoy seeing it as well. Um, are you in both, Callie, or are you just in one?
In this one, I'm actually just in Alice's world, Wonderland.
That's a lot, though. That's a lot, just being in Alice's world. Tell us about that play, will you?
Yeah, Alice's world, it starts with just Alice. At first, she's just trying to get her sister's attention, trying to make her brothers mostly proud of her. And once they don't give her that satisfaction, she goes into a sleep and then wakes up in Wonderland. In Wonderland, she's just trying to find her way and trying to find the white rabbit. And she starts finally getting it, but then she gets sucked back to the real world.
And what about the brother? How is it to play with the brother in the scenes? Is it a lot of fun? Is it someone that you know from school or from other areas, or how do you connect with the brother?
There's actually two brothers, and they're kind of playing that role as being annoying, just running into the scene, messing up everything that we set up. And it's a lot of fun. I actually never met these actors in advance, but once I've gotten to know them, they're really nice and great actors.
And will you stay friends with them, do you think, all the way through? Do you hope so?
I hope so.
Yeah, there's something lovely about meeting people on stage and then carrying those relations through for, different shows and different, settings and different people. In real life, do you have an annoying brother?
Yes, I do.
So was this much of a stretch actually then for you, or did you manage to fall into that character very easily?
I was able to fall into it a little easier, I think, but he is older than me, which makes it a little different.
So the two brothers then that are in the program, are they younger than you, or are you the middle one, or how does it land?
I think Alice is more the middle one because Lori, the older sister, and then Alice, and then the two Diggory and Dumpton are the little ones.
I see. Fabulous. Are you singing in the program?
I am.
How is that? Is this the first time singing on stage in front of a bunch of people, or have you been doing that for a while as well?
I've been doing that for a while, mostly because the other plays I've been in have all been musicals.
Right. You mentioned Guys and Dolls. That's such a fantastic play. May I ask what other musicals you've been in?
Yeah, I've been in Frozen, Aladdin, Jungle Book, um, The Lion King, Peter Pan.
Oh my goodness, you have been in some season favorites for people. Wow. And do you find every role to be exciting and new, or do you bring any of the elements of some of the other characters into your work? What's your inspiration for it?
I think my inspiration, I'm usually trying to pull parts from other plays, trying to pull an excitement in one place or the nervousness. I'm usually trying to pull, but I also am trying to make it new at the same time.
How wonderful. Well, congratulations on this role. I'm very excited for you. How has it been to, because you had 4 months, so there was a part of it that you were still in school. Now, of course, it's summer break, so that has, I'm sure, changed your schedule a little bit. How was it to go to school and practice in the theater afterwards?
For me, it was a little tiring after coming from a day of school, jumping right into the acting. But the people, my acting, they really helped me through it. And we all got to share. Amanda was great about letting us share every time we came. It was just really fun.
That's wonderful. And how long did you rehearse every night?
I think
Often,
about
maybe it wasn't every night. You might have rehearsed a couple times a week. I don't know. It was how often did you rehearse?
we rehearsed on Wednesday and Sunday and a few times on Monday.
There you go. So it was regular rehearsals in between school and all that. Are you rehearsing a little bit more as you get closer to show dates?
Yes, I'm trying to work on it every day, every moment I have a break.
Well, this brings me to my next question because I'm always admiring people. As I've gotten older, my memory is certainly starting to fade. So, how hard is it to memorize all those lines and all those lyrics and all those dance steps and all those pieces? Is that an easy piece for you, or is it something that you need to spend quite a bit of time practicing?
Usually, I find a day where I'm fully free and I just study it. I don't leave my desk. I just keep going through it until I think I have it. But of course, I never fully have it. So every day I try to get at least 3 hours of practice in just to make sure I have it still.
Good for you. You know, practice, they say, is the absolute perfection in all things. The more we do it, the easier it is. I can tell you, though, from my experience on stage, I found myself in different plays, where I would be rehearsing and rehearsing and rehearsing in my head so doggone much. I'd wake up, in my sleep and I'd be saying my lines in the sleep. Has that ever happened to either of you?
Yep.
Yeah, I
So we
dream
can
about the
relate,
show.
right, Amanda?
Oh, totally. I'll have like problems that we were trying to figure out in rehearsal, and then I'll be re-rehearsing them in my dreams. And
Yes,
then
yes.
like the next rehearsal, I'll be like, okay, I thought about it. Well, I was dreaming about it, and like I think I've got it. So let's just play around with it. The other thing I wanted to add too that a lot of people aren't aware of with Alice's Wonderland is Alice enters the stage and she doesn't leave it for basically an hour and 15 minutes. So she only
Wow.
has 81 or 85 pages of dialogue that at 11 years old she's memorized, and it's pretty formidable as a performer to be taking on a role
Yes.
like that is so dominant at her age. But when she auditioned, it was like a no-brainer for us. We were blown away by her skill, her energy as
Mm.
Alice, what she was already bringing to the character on a cold read. And we had that conversation about like, do you feel that this is something that you want to take on? And
Yeah.
and her parents are amazingly supportive and really like stepped in. We're like, yeah, let's give it a go. And I have to say, watching her on stage has been such a joy to see how
Mm.
much she's grown with the mentorship and the support system. But like what she brings to Alice is it's really a gem to watch. And it feels like a professional show. Like I'm so proud of her.
I have no doubt. I can already tell. I know it's over the radio, and that those of us who are watching by Zoom or on the YouTube platforms, you can see that you just glow when you talk about theater, Callie. It is like it's visual, and I can feel it. I hope that our listeners over the radio can feel it as well. I'm going to ask you a question in regards to the text of the work that you're doing with Alice. Is there a favorite line that you have that we should really look for? Is there something that she says that has really ironed it in for you?
Well, since being Alice, I do have a lot of monologues, and I think some of my favorites, I think it was the hardest part to memorize, was the signpost ones. I just love those monologues. They're a ton of fun.
Are you able to share with us a line or two from that monologue?
Sure. Uh,
I'm catching you on the spot. I should have maybe given you a little bit of warning, but just check it. It's no worries.
you again? Hmm. Maybe this time you could be more helpful. Let's see. This way or that way? Uh, Which way is what? I don't suppose you could help.
Fantastic. And are you talking to the Cheshire Cat at that point?
I'm actually talking to a new character that Amanda added in, the signpost.
Oh, the signpost itself. Ah, of course, of course, of course. Oh, how wonderful. So tell me about your modification process, Amanda. I love the idea that you've updated it, you've made, shared a little bit more to it. Tell us a little bit about the process of recreating something so known in the theater world and the novel world.
Yeah. Well, I first started by reading Alice in Wonderland again, and also through the looking glass, and seeing how I could weave the storyline to follow, and it actually does follow quite closely how it goes through the book as well. We've cut the show down, so I have a longer version that like schools have used, and it has like the flower scenes and things like that that are really big ensembles. But because we're outside and in the heat, which is a lot for young people and also a lot for our costumed characters, we've cut it down so that the show is about an hour and 15 minutes, and we have a 10-minute intermission because we expect that there's going to be lots of youth involved. So we did look through the novels, and then I started adapting it and then creating a theme of Alice finding herself. So one of my favorite scenes is actually the White Knight scene where Alice is confronted after Humpty falls off the wall. She calls for help, and a Kingsman shows up, not the whole Kingsman. And he's a very klutzy, very kind-hearted soldier who, a knight, I guess, who really means well, but just cannot help himself. And he really talks to Alice about her inner ability to solve her own problems and look within herself for her own confidence. And so instead of, you know, a traditional princess story where often there's a prince that comes in and saves the day, he sings a song that says, "You need no saving. You've got exactly what you need." So that's one of my favorite scenes because Alice really gets to know, like, hey, I can problem solve myself. I have confidence in myself. I can do these challenging things, and I don't need another person who's
Yes.
doing that for me. And you know, looking at the themes of a young woman, there is a point where you go from being a child to a young woman, and you're learning independence, and you're learning what you want to be as a woman stepping into this world. And each of these characters share a little gem of that throughout. And even though it is a female being played in that moment, I think it's really relevant for all youth. There's that time of change where you're starting to step in as your own person, and there are times when you feel lost and you want guidance, and there are times where you just have to look inside to know, hey, my parents or the life skills I've gotten, I can rely on those.
The empowerment of your instinct is such a beautiful thing for all young women, for all women, when we are able to come into our own and stand on our own 2 feet. And so to have these little elements added, I think that's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
What inspired you to go down these roads? Like, this is 8 years that you were doing it in Alberta, and now you're here. What, how did you decide to move into this way of career path or working, or how'd you get to where you are?
That's really interesting. I think art kind of chooses you.
It does. Yeah.
They say, like, if you can do anything else, you should, because it's a hard industry to be in. But I was a child actor like Kelly from a very early age. I did dancing and singing and theater, and it's just been in my blood. And I went to theater school. I've studied at RADA in England. And I have been a casting agent and a director. And when I went from performing, I really loved the idea that theater is such a visceral experience.
Yeah.
And it's like watching moving paintings that get to physically tell you that story. And I played around with doing directing, and I had some amazing mentors. And why we started it in Calgary was the same thing that we've seen here, is that there wasn't really a theater company that bridged the gap between either people who are coming from university into the professional world or youth coming up. There wasn't really a place to bridge that gap and give people that next step up that was different from community theater, but may not be like full-fledged professional theater. It's like that indie, we call it the indie theater, that kind of independent part. For me, mentorship is a bucket filler. It's something that I really value. When I went to RADA, one of my instructors, Nona, said, mentorship is the lifeblood of the arts. And if we don't give back, it will not survive. And
Yeah.
that really resonated for me. And it's how the art of acting is passed generation to generation. Storytelling is innate in all cultures around the world, the most remote to the most, visited cultures. That's how we share knowledge, life lessons, and experiences. And so that's sort of where we came to act, is to build that. And then with these shows, I always look for shows that can provide a multitude of skills to performers. And when we built Alice, there are like many different versions of Alice out there.
Yeah, there are.
I didn't find it having the themes that I was looking for in there, that stayed more closer to the novel. And I wanted something that really supported an ensemble. So when we first wrote it, we wrote it to work. We were mentoring through a school, and we had like 25 kids in there, and we wanted everybody to be able to have an opportunity to stand on their own. And Alice is a great story for that, because there are so many characters that have their unique scenes. So that's where we kind of started from, with that.
I love the process of creation, right? I love the idea that you could take the novel and then, condense it and clip it and twist it so that it actually creates something that's fresh and brand new, but has a really meaningful message. And the empowerment of women and girls is probably, it's topical on so many levels in this moment. And so I think that it's really great that you're bringing that. Now, we're not quite halfway through our program yet, but it is important that people have a piece of paper and a pen. So I'm going to take a moment just to do a little bit of housekeeping here, and then we'll come back to further conversation. If you have just tuned in, thanks for tuning in to Act 3 on CHLY 101.7 FM. We are, as always, really thrilled that you join us every Monday at 1 o'clock. And we're also super excited that you follow us on YouTube, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and of course on our television program on Rogers Cable 4. So we love the idea that you listen and that you join us, but what we love even more is when you go out to the theater yourself, when you are participating in some of the wonderful things that we have all over Vancouver Island. And right now in Nanaimo, there's going to be some cool stuff happening with my guests today. Callie Guild and Amanda Cutting are with us from Act Theater. And so what I want you to do is go grab a piece of paper and a pen so that you can write down how you can get tickets, how you can see these plays, and all of that good stuff. And so we can share the wealth of what's happening in our community right at the moment. I welcome you back, Callie and Amanda. I just, there's something that's so wonderful about the theater. I get shivers up and down my bones when I know that that there's another next generation of wonderful stuff. Amanda, we shared a little bit about how you got involved with it. Kelly, I wonder, would you mind if you share with us, because you said you've been doing this since you were 5. Like, I have a 5-year-old grandson at the moment. I'm not sure he's ready for the theater. He's ready to watch it. I'm not sure he's ready to be in it. What did you do? And like, how did you decide that this is what I want to do from the age of 5 years old?
When I was little, I loved being in the spotlight. I loved just getting out there. And I also really loved singing. I think that was what mostly brought me into it. That's why I was looking for a company that let me do musical theater, especially. That just made me feel at home, and I just found where I wanted to be.
And how about your parents? Did they come from the theater themselves? Are they artistic people? Did they apparently they've encouraged you in such a brilliant way, and that's exciting. But did they have a background in it also?
My mom, for a long time, did rhythmic gymnastics, so she did have a lot of experience performing. And my dad,
Wow.
he was also super out there. He loved getting on stages, going into anywhere he could find just to sing in karaoke. He, I think, gave me a lot of the performing thing.
Oh, wow. I love the idea that karaoke was in your life. There's something fabulous about getting up and doing it's not my forte. I tried it. I've done it once or twice, but I usually find myself, not wanting, yeah. I love singing and I love dancing and certainly spent that time in the theater, doing Guys and Dolls and other plays that you mentioned. But the truth of the matter is that as I've gotten older, I'm a little bit more like a frog. I should sing in the shower or sing along with other people, but I probably, on stage, it's not where I need to be at this stage of my life for sure. And so, with the two plays going on, do you find that they can be constricted, difficult on your schedule, Amanda? Are you really like, how are you managing putting these two things at the same time? That's quite an endeavor.
It's definitely a circus act.
You're good at
Um,
bouncing those balls.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it took us about 12 hours to do the rehearsal schedule with our stage manager because it's juggling 20 people's schedules plus location availability and then what we need to get done each day. But we've done pretty well sticking to it. We've made some adjustments. So like each each week we have like the Mondays is usually Much Ado and Wednesdays is Alice's Wonderland. And then after Wednesday, we kind of assess what we need on Sunday, which is usually a split day between both shows. Sometimes Alice has a little bit more, sometimes Much has a little bit more, and we kind of sort that out. And then as we've been getting closer to the crunch time, because Much is a longer show, we've taken over some of the Alice rehearsal days to just do the final finessing and so forth, because Alice, being that it's a shorter play, was ready sooner in those
Yeah.
areas.
Yeah.
Callie also has a colleague, Delaney, who plays Alice alternating with her. And so what's been really cool is teaching both of these young women the skill of being a swing and an understudy. So we don't, because they're not understudying each other, they're swinging for the role. When one is performing during the rehearsal on stage, the other one is literally mimicking the entire scene just off of stage. So they're always in full rehearsal mode. And it's kind of funny and strange to look at. Like we rehearse in the park all the time, and you can see people walk by and like see the main performance happening, and then they see like Callie or Delaney off on the side doing the same actions like they're talking to themselves. And you
Oh
can just
my
see them
goodness.
looking at each other being like, what? Oh, okay. Understand it.
So are you planning like when you have two understudy or two not understudies, as you said, two companion performers
Yeah.
doing the same show? How many days do you plan? I mean, quite often with theater, and in fairness, it usually only runs for a few days, right? Rarely does it go longer than that, unless it's something like Shemaina's Theater, where that same play will go for a month or 2 months at a time. So tell me, how is it, Amanda? How does this play work? Is it showing now? Is it starting like opening day for several days, or will it also be for a month? Or how's all that going to work?
Well, we're doing 8 shows and a couple previews, but we're doing it in 2 locations. So we're doing 3 showings up in Parksville, and then and that is July 23rd to 25th, and then we're doing 5 shows in Maffeo Sutton, downtown Nanaimo, from the 31st of July to August 4th. So
31st of
because of
July
that,
to August 4th.
yeah,
Okay.
July 31st to August 4th.
Okay.
And Alice always takes place as the matinee show. We wanted to make it really accessible for parents with young youth. This show, because of the music, kind of goes from like vaudeville era all the way up to contemporary jazz. Feel often when we've performed it, and we've done it 5 times, we've mounted this show 5 times, and it's won awards for its productions. We
Wow.
have like kids dancing in the aisles or on the grass, and like it's a very exuberant, fun, energetic show that we wanted to make sure that doing it at 1 o'clock allowed for kids to have fun and enjoy, and we're opening the doors a bit early for families to do a picnic beforehand and really make it a fun family event,
Mm,
sort of like theater elevated, as it were.
yes, I love it.
Yeah,
Or
so
very
we
much
kind
like
of do that
Vancouver
balance with them.
on the in English Bay, there was theater in the park for years and years. I don't know if it's still happening now, but it certainly was for many, many years. Theater in the park was well received by Vancouverites. I'm hoping that this will become a theater in the park concept. I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here, but
No,
how
not at all.
wonderful that would be.
Yeah, the city has been really supportive with in Nanaimo, and they would like us to be able to do it for the next 3 years for sure. So
That's
we've been given the thumbs up for 2026
wow.
and 2025. So that's pretty exciting for us, and we are kind
That's
of
huge.
starting to think about what we can do to continue to make this really a community event that becomes like a memory maker, like the thing that your family looks forward to doing every summer is coming and having a picnic and watching theater in the park. And because we have 3 shows running at Maffeo Sutton, it really is a theater festival. So we've got our 2 shows, and then we have a production from Murmur Arts Collective, which is a immersion arts company. So they do their performances with silent disco headphones.
Oh,
You can see
wow.
and participate in the production in both English or French, which is an amazing thing. Nanaimo has an amazing, thriving French community,
Yeah, we do.
but we don't have a lot of French art presentations being done. And this production is really great. Again, it's about our inner thoughts and feelings and the emotions in our body. It's really cool. It reminds me a bit of that Disney movie that talks about all the emotions in the head. I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
the one that's going now, the oh my goodness, I know it. There's a new, it's not it, that's the other one, or if that's one. The other one, oh my goodness. If our listeners are listening, go ahead and call into CHLY 101.7 FM and let us know the name of that show. We would love to know that by all means.
Yeah.
Uh,
But that
yeah,
is really it's a physical, it moves from like 2 or 3 different stations, and they're in these kind of checkerboard morph suits, and you can listen
mm,
to it's a dance theatrical speech combination. It's really artistic and a wonderful
gorgeous.
experience, and it ties with all the themes of both Alice and Much Ado, and Voices in My Body, which is just such a really cool experience to have 3 shows being provided. In Parksville, we're only doing the 2 shows. But yeah, we're really looking forward to that.
No kidding. Oh, how exciting is that? I'm thrilled for you. I'm also curious. So then the production company that you just mentioned, theirs is called Voices in My Body. That's the name of their show, is Voices in My
It
Body.
is,
Is that right?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
Murmur Arts Collective.
Murmur.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I just make notes while I'm doing this so I can make sure I can put it in the chat box. So in case you're listening and you're looking for how do I go and where and what, we'll put this all in the chat box on the YouTube website. So listen, when you put these shows together, I'm curious about, as nonprofit agencies are, most of us hunt for funding and various different grants. Did you find it difficult to find theater grants, or was it easy to find them? Let's talk a little bit about how these things are funded and how we can support as a community.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking. Because we're new to BC, there's a lot of bureaucracy about bringing a non-for-profit from one province to the other.
True.
We
Yeah.
are a nationally registered organization. However, there's still that, love
Yeah.
bureaucracy.
Yeah.
So this year we weren't able to get any funding from the local BC government, but we were able to get operational support from the city of Nanaimo, which has been absolutely invaluable. I know that we did one production in November last year, which was sort of our introduction to the community, and that was a site responsive show about Hamlet. It's called Haunted House Hamlet. And
Yes. I saw it. It was great. Yeah,
yeah,
it was really, it was wonderful.
we got really great reception. We had people come back and see it multiple times.
Yeah.
They were really enthusiastic about it. And then the city announced to us that we were able to receive some operational funding. So hopefully in the next year, we will now qualify for some BC Arts funding as well. But we've been trying to get sponsorships and people to place ads in our digital program as well as on our website. And some of the fun things that we do as a company is we do ads for our sponsors in our characters that we put up on Facebook and Instagram, which people have found really funny.
No
Um,
kidding.
and engaging. So, you know, if people are still wanting to sponsor a show, we can always use another sponsor. We have Shannon Kelly Realty Group, who is been one of our main sponsors for the last 2 shows, supporting us. And it's really lovely to see a realtor support theater. So
Yes.
we're really grateful for their support. Yeah, we're looking to bring in more sponsorship that way, and hopefully we'll be able to explore more grants now that we've been in business, as it were, in air quotes,
I
for a
understand.
year.
Well, but theater as a whole is, you know, that's the challenge of it, as it is for most, you know, that starving artist allergy is really the truth of it. It's like for this kind of work, as wonderful it is as it is, it takes a lot, you know, there's a lot of scrimping and saving and negotiating and calculating and working with teams and peoples and families and everything to make it. You know, it takes what people I think sometimes forget when it comes to theater is it's not just all of the actors on stage. It's also all that back work that needs to be done. It's hours and hours of labor of love, maybe
Yeah,
true, but still hours of it. And
it's
so
a lot of volunteers. Like
a
we have a
lot of
lot of volunteers.
volunteers.
We were lucky that Windsor Plywood came in and provided some supplies for our sets, which was a huge
Thank
support.
you, Windsor Plywood.
Yes, massively. They're a big supporter of the arts here in Nanaimo. It's been really lovely to have a working relationship with them. And you know, being able to be resourceful, like the VIU has loaned us some black boxes that we're using in Alice in Wonderland, and Nanaimo Theater Group has been supportive in loaning us some props and elements. So it is a community affair to get a festival like this on stage, really. And you have to be
No,
resourceful. You're borrowing, you're reusing things. We've had people donate us stuff from Facebook Marketplace. We've exchanged theater tickets for items because it's like, well, we may not have a lot of financial budget, but we can offer some theater tickets in exchange for services. We really want to make sure that this is an event that people can attend. And it is like you do the arts because you love it. It's definitely not something that is a huge financial contribution to your life. And really the biggest way that the community can support is coming out and seeing the shows, because that helps us recoup the expenses. And because the show is under the Equity Festival Agreement, it means that you know, if we do well within the shows, each of the performers has an opportunity of getting some payback as well. And that's a first in Nanaimo for
it
sure.
is absolutely, and equity has done a lot to support the arts, of course. I mean, being the major influencer when it comes to holding things together for actors, it is really marvelous.
They've been
Um,
incredibly supportive because
very
our
supportive.
festival doesn't sit in any of the equity
Mm,
boxes, the standard
yeah,
boxes. And
yeah.
because we have youth involved and everything else, they've been really supportive they want to see this happen in our
Yeah.
community.
Oh yeah. And it also spreads the word. It gets theater moving again. And you know, there of course we know, although we're past COVID now and most people have talked it to exhaustion, we lost that, you know, during COVID time, and recognizing how many people, you know, miss the theater and coming back out again. And I noticed that in the last few productions that have gone on in our community, we're seeing increases in audience. People are coming back out again in droves because they missed it so much. I know I certainly did, and I love anything to do with live theater, which brings me to the point of how do people get tickets? Where do people go? Like let's tell us more about, and we're going to do that more than once, but to be sure, you know, you said that it was playing in Parksville. Where is it playing in Parksville?
It's playing at the outdoor theater. I like to call it the Oceanside Theater because it's right by the ocean, but it's just the Parksville Outdoor Theater. And it's playing there from July 23rd to the 25th. You can get tickets either through Act Theatre or from the ticket office at Parksville, which is like the one that everybody uses for all events there.
Yeah.
Then it plays at Maffeo Sutton Park downtown from July 31st to August 4th. You can book your tickets at Act Theatre for those shows. The really neat thing that we have available for the festival is staggered ticket pricing, which
Yes.
doesn't always happen. So we have a festival pass, which is for one person to see in Maffeo Sutton, 3 shows. At Parksville, it's to see the 2 shows. And it just allows people that ability to, really see everything that they want to see. And you can see them all on one day, or you can see them at different times. You can select when you want to see them. And then we have a family pass, which allows for 2 adults and 2 youth under the age of 17, not under the age of 13, like a lot of youth tickets are.
Yeah, that's
Really
great.
for families.
Yeah.
And then if you have more youth than that who want to, excuse me, tag along, the youth ticket's only $7.50. So we really wanted to make it accessible for families to afford to come out to have this really neat experience to see Alice's Wonderland. You can
How
also
much are the, sorry to interrupt you just for a second though, because you did talk about these staggered ticket prices. So for the festival pass, how much is a festival pass, may I ask?
I will just have to pull that up.
Oh, that's okay. Sorry, I should have. It's not the end of the world. People can go and check if you don't have it handy. That's not a worry. But I love the idea that the youth pass is only $7, right, or 7.50. That's really, that makes it affordable for families as well. And with the family pass, it's delicious.
Yeah, our festival pass is $47.
47 for the 3 shows. You can't
Yeah.
do better than that in theater. My goodness, that's like super, super cheap. If a person wants to just go for one show, what is that? Is there individual tickets as well?
There is, yeah, and that one's 27.
And 27 for individual. Okay, perfect. And we'll put a little bit, I'll put a link on the website to ensure that people can just link on and buy those tickets right away. There's something wonderful to be said about, live theater in the park on a lovely afternoon. I'm so excited for that. And certainly will be attending myself. I can tell you that. I'm not sure which days or day I will go. I have to go look at my calendar, but I'm definitely in and can't wait to see you both. Kelly, how has this been as far as an experience for you as you get closer to opening night? And we're only a few days away. Actually, at the time that this airs, it will be airing like right near that time. Tell me, what are your thoughts? Like, are you starting to get a little bit of the things in your tummy, or like, tell me more?
For me, whenever I'm doing acting, I'm always super nervous on the day of and in advance. And
Yeah.
then right when I get on stage, I say that first word, I start a song. I just, they usually fly away and come
Yeah.
back in waves. But
Yeah.
yeah, I do get nervous. Like right now, I am terrified for the show.
Of course, right? Of course, I get it. Oh, yeah. Tell me, I like what do you say to yourself to calm your nerves down?
Usually, I just take a deep breath and I just think of what I'm gonna do. I remind myself of all the actions I was feeling nervous about to show me that I don't need to be nervous.
Yeah.
That's usually what I like to do just to calm myself down.
Yeah. I'm so happy for you that you're doing this at 11 years old. Like I can't, I mean, for me, theater at that age was just the most wonderful time in my life. I will never forget the joy that was there, and the collaboration and the people working together. And my very first show was Oklahoma, and I had never worked with a choreographer before. And this particular choreographer was very wise. He knew really how to coordinate everything, and he did some beautiful work. But I just remember being a little girl and thinking that you're going to make me do what? Well, like I'm going to pretend to be a horse, like what? And I remember him turning around and looking at me and my other little friends, of course, as we were there. And I remember him turning and he goes, just wait till you see it. Like it's more than what you think. So what happened was I learned very early on that about how to use the imagination and how to bridge that imagination. And for me, that was an incredible experience. What has theater taught you, Callie?
I think especially in this company, one thing that especially Amanda and Ben taught me was not to be embarrassed doing anything, just to go out there and just be as big as I can be and not like be like, oh my God, that was horrible. That's so embarrassing. Why did I do that?
Yeah, you step outside of yourself, right? Like there's something just delicious about that learning experience because, there's very few places, Amanda, I'm sure you'll agree, that you can be your authentic self than you can when you're on the theater. It's a very different, it's accepting, it's widely loved by people that are participating in it, that are part of the crew, that are part of the set design, that are part of the backstage, that like there's so many pieces to it. Amanda, what's your favorite part?
Of Alice, of the
Of
show.
all of it, of all of it.
Oh,
What's your favorite part of being in theater? And I mean, obviously, you're doing this at a level, right, where you're bringing ensembles together. Very different place in being part of the ensemble as being the creation of the ensemble. So,
yeah.
what inspires you to keep doing it?
Oh, it's incredibly rewarding. The
Yeah.
people, time and time again. It's not just building like a community. It's building families of people who come together that really elevate each other, root for each other, support each other. Our ensemble is phenomenally encouraging to each other because we have mentors that are a part of the ensemble, and they will mentor the young, they will mentor the more well-aged wine category of people.
Yeah.
Everybody has access to that. So like some
Yeah.
people haven't done a comedy in 15 years. They've been doing, more heavy plays, and they're like, I need some mentorship on how to go big again. We've have different people who have different skill sets like voice and diction, character building, physical movement. And so people in our ensemble have access to that to really, so it's like getting to go to acting school and do a really fun play all at the same time. And for me, being able to see those relationships build, watch people really level up their skill set while doing something that they love and building their confidence to step in is just it's so absolutely invaluable. And then to be able to do a festival like this where you can have families attend, where we have food trucks coming so you can pack your picnic or you can go and buy and support local businesses. Either way, it's just a really well-rounded energetic event for people, and that's what's so rewarding for me, is seeing that storytelling come to life and the confidence of the ensemble, and then watching audiences just be like so enthusiastic. And we've been performing in parks without costumes for most of it, and we get people stopping and sitting and watching our rehearsals and
Oh,
like giving
lovely.
us feedback. So if it's good already without all the flash and the bang of pretty sets and gorgeous costumes, I can't wait to see what it's going to be like with all of those extra production elements that have been, worked so hard at to pull together.
Well, I'm so delighted you're here. Thank you very, very, very much for bringing such joy to our community. It's well needed, it's well loved, and I can't wait for myself and friends and people that I know and love to be able to sit back and support you in any way that we possibly can. Callie, I'm delighted that you were at the program today. Thank you so much for being here. There's something wonderful about having someone who's 11 years old shine the way that you shine. Keep on shining, darling. Keep on shining. Congratulations for that work. As we are coming to the close of the program, I want to remind everybody you need to go get your tickets. So, how do people get their tickets, Amanda?
Yes, you can go to ACT Theater, so it's spelled ACTtheatre.ca, and go to our ticket section, and you can purchase tickets for both locations there. You can also go to the Parksville Ticket Center and pick up the tickets at Parksville for the Parksville presentations. And you can also buy tickets at the door. So if you're not sure how your schedule is going to be like,
Mm.
and what all, you can show up there. We do have picnic blankets and we do have chairs that they can also rent in addition to their tickets. In case you're like down at Maffeo Set and you see us and you want to join, don't worry, we have that available. We have stage
Great.
seating for people so that you've got picnic blankets and chairs that people can sit in. But it is a BYOC, so bring your own chair event. We'll only have so many chairs for
Yes,
people.
of course, of course. I love the BYOC. Bring your own chair.
Yeah, we've been joking. It's BYOC, BYOP. Bring your own picnic and bring your own chair.
Delicious. And so now you said that the shows themselves, there's matinees and then there's evening performances, correct? What
Yeah.
time do the evening performances begin?
Yeah, so Alice starts at 1 o'clock,
Uh-huh.
and it only runs at 1 o'clock every day. And
Okay.
then Much Ado starts at 6:30, and the doors open at 5:30 for your picnic
For
fun.
the
And
picnic part of it on
yeah,
those
and there'll
days.
be music playing during the picnics and things like that. So it's just a lovely little event for everyone.
It really is. How wonderful. As we close out the program, I do hope that people will, go to Act Theater and, grab those tickets and hopefully they are going to sell out as quickly as possible. So this call to action is go get your tickets now to act3.ca or to the Parksville Ticket Center. As we say goodbye, I'm just going to leave with some lasting moments, as we talked earlier, but at the start of the show, we do love to share our pieces of wisdom with our community. So, Callie, I'm going to ask if you don't mind. Would you mind going first? What has this process taught you? Or what would you like to share with the community? If there was anything at all that you could say to the community about this work, what would it mean for you?
I would probably say never be shy to be too big. Always try. Like, if you see an audition come up, try it. Don't just give up on it right away. That's how I first got into this company. I just tried it and I didn't expect to get in, but yeah, I just hope people take away that they can be brave and open with anyone that they talk to.
Brave and open. I love it. I love it. I love it. Amanda, how about you?
Um, I would say that, the world is a sponge and you get to absorb as much of it as you possibly can while you're here. And art is a great way of telling our history and storytelling.
Yeah. And so it's time to go look at that art and enjoy it. And why not do it at some of the most beautiful areas on Vancouver Island, Mafio Sutton Park, you guys. The dates are once again the July 31st to August 4th is at Mafio, and July 23rd to 25th is in Parksville. Make sure you get your tickets today at acttheater.ca. Everybody, have yourself a fabulous day. Thanks for tuning in to Act 3. We'll see you next week. In the meanwhile, take care of each other, will you? Enjoy the day. Bye for now.